The Minnesota Vikings are reporting to training camp. We've got our wackiest camp predictions coming up today on the Minnesota Football Party.
I'm Luke Braun of Locked On Vikings, and it's time for Harrison Smith to step aside so somebody younger can take the mantle.
Really annoyed because that was my joke. Hey, this is Arif Hassan with the Wide Left Substack. Somebody should take care of Luke Braun.
Luke Inman at Luke_Spinman. I'm still on episode 7 of Receiver, so no spoilers. Don't tell me what happens. Don't ruin this for me.
Locked On Sports Minnesota Podcast. It's endless Minnesota Vikings talk with the diverse voices of your local experts. It's time for the Minnesota Football Party. It's your guys hanging out talking next level Vikings football. So join in with Arif Hassan, Locked On Vikings Luke Braun, Superior Sports Talk's Luke Inman, and Vikings insider Sam Ekstrom, plus the biggest names in Minnesota football for the Minnesota Football Party. And it starts now.
Welcome to the party, everybody. It is training camp week. Minnesota Vikings begin reporting today, and we've got all the analysis, all the opinions, all the wackiest camp predictions coming up on today's Minnesota Football Party. We are live Mondays and Thursdays on Locked On Sports Minnesota. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Also, listen to our show on the Locked On Vikings podcast feed. Wherever you get your podcasts, Luke Braun inhabits that feed with 5 days worth of great Vikings content. Check it out. Locked On Vikings. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for making us your first listen. Make Locked On Vikings your second listen. Keep it in the family. Locked On Podcast Network. You met the Lukes. You met Arif. I'm Sam Ekstrom. Big picture conversation today about TJ Hockenson's impact upon his return. Could an Adam Thielen reunion be in the works for the Minnesota Vikings? And we've, of course, got wacky training camp predictions coming up as camp with a soft startup today. 38 Vikings reported. We will overreact to that list in just a moment. But right off the bat, we'll remind you that we are presented by LinkedIn Jobs. They help you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonnfl. linkedin.com/lockedonnfl to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. This next moment is strictly for Macho Meach. He's been begging for the sound for a long time now. Yes, somebody does have loud air conditioning or something, per Luke Braun. I don't think it's me. At any rate, I got this email from the Minnesota Vikings. 38 players have reported for training camp. This includes rookies, quarterbacks, injured players, and second or third year players that have uncertain statuses, right? Like they have some work to do. Probably the most noteworthy name I'm taking from this list, Brian Asamoah reporting early with the rookies for sort of this young player or injured player acclimation week. Brian Asamoah, would he be an unsteady, like uncertain player that's reporting, or would he be an injured player? We don't know. But I think that's the one talker that I take from that list of 38.
We'll find out in 12 hours.
Here we go. Get your bets in. Get your bets in right now.
How about 1 hour? KOC and Quasi speaking to the media in an hour and 15 minutes as we record this 12:15 press conference, where I imagine we will hear probably quite a bit about the Jordan Addison situation. That's going to be the first or second question out of reporters' mouths. How are you handling Jordan Addison? What do you guys want to hear from them? Like, is there something they could say that would make you feel good about the way they're handling the situation? What do you want? The Mike Zimmer rhetoric? Like, if Mike Zimmer was the coach, we would hear, I think, without him saying a lot of words, we would know exactly what he's feeling about the Jordan Addison situation. Is that what you would like to hear from Quasi and KOC? Luke Inman's gone. Live
He
broadcast.
doesn't want to talk about this. I get it.
Arif Hassan or Luke Braun. What do you got?
Yeah, I don't think the team has a lot of has much that they have to do here, because it's not really. I mean, the NFL is going to handle like the disciplinary proceedings. I don't think the team needs to like double jeopardy this. They just need to go out and say the right things and say, we're disappointed, and we're talking to him and we're trying to be better and blah blah blah. Go say all the nice PR speak, and then let's just move on and find out who's hurt, because that's really what people are wondering about now.
Yeah, we probably don't hear from Jordan Addison himself until, I would guess, Wednesday, when the players have their first practice. Or if that's just the rookie practice, then it might not be for a couple days after that. Not sure when the rest of the veterans are reporting. Jordan Addison has not reported as of yet. But Arif, is there something that would mean something to hear from the coach and the GM?
Means something? Probably not a lot of things outside of the things that are unlikely, right? Like them announcing independently of the NFL their own punishment, like Luke Braun suggested, would be unlikely. And I agree with that. I don't think that they'll do that. But if they did something like that, that would be pretty meaningful. I don't know that there's a lot else they could do. I suppose ignoring the situation, again, that seems pretty unlikely. My guess is that they'll open the presser with something along those lines. If they don't do that, I'd be kind of surprised. But if they don't do that and then say, hey, he's just a kid, that would be meaningful, but that seems so outside the realm of possibility that I can't imagine it. So only the things that are unlikely to happen are the ones that would kind of raise an eyebrow. Otherwise, like Luke said, it's going to be a bunch of PR speak. They have already sat down and talked to him. They'll explain how important it is to take care of your ride situation or whatever, and not be dumb or what. I don't know. They'll have sit down and talk to him about how serious it is. That's what they'll say.
Yeah, I'm buckling up, and I'm expecting a lot of the PR speak, like you guys said. I mean, I don't really need to hear them say anything specific. I trust them to handle all this stuff internally the way they're gonna, and whatever's best for the team. I don't know how open and transparent they're gonna be. Again, I'm not expecting them to really divulge a ton of new details, but that would be great to hear any type of new details, exactly what happened, if they want to divulge some more facts so we can get a little bit more clarity around the situation. I mean, that would be nice just for starters. But yeah, you guys are right. Like, we know how these go. They're probably going to come out. They're going to say they're disappointed. He's got to make better choices and decisions and all that. Ultimately, though, I think everyone just wants to know, is the guy going to get suspended by the league, by the team? Probably not by the team. We talked about that last week. But yeah, is he going to be out there for week one? I think that's what everybody's got in the back of their mind when they think Jordan Addison right now.
Yeah, people, I think, care more about their fantasy teams than they care about like the morality of this. And here's the deal. So do the Vikings. So we're all in the same boat here. Everybody just kind of say the right thing out loud, and then we can all pretend we care more than we do.
I still tend to think there will not be a team-issued suspension in this matter. Could be wrong. It like Luke said, it does not benefit the team. I don't think they can actually take money out of his pocket. Like, they can't take a game check from him. Only the league can do that. So they would be hurting them.
I think that's the CBA. Yeah.
By issue.
Well, right, I don't know if it's different when it's player conduct policy. I think you waive some of those rights, but yeah.
Yeah, and they do have fine systems. Like Mike Zimmer would talk about guys getting fined for being late to meetings. I don't know if there's like a cap or a max. I don't think you can take game checks. You can't take game checks. Maybe there's more of like a low limit kind of.
Yeah.
Under the Zimmer era, who do you think got fined the most for showing up late to practices? Under the Zimmer era, who do you think that was?
Well, Adrian Peterson. I wouldn't be shocked about that.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, he's got to be in that top 2, top 3 for
Sendejo.
sure.
First 2 years. Oh, Sendejo.
Yeah. From Tardies.
Yeah. Could see it.
Jabari, not Jabari. J-Ron Curse might have had a little bit of that. And
I don't know
the
about
big
that.
one.
Like, I feel like if J-Ron showed up to meetings late enough, he'd have been cut before his DUI.
Yeah, that's true.
Because he was already on kind of thin ice, so I don't know that he could show up late to meetings. To me, it's a player that Zimmer likes.
Well, Xavier Rhodes, coach. Rhodes closed. Sorry, man.
I don't know about Rhodes. I think Rhodes likes to show up.
All right, fair enough.
And the big one, Stephon Diggs. Like, what do you think that fine was for basically abandoning the team for like a day or two? Whatever the max.
I don't know what you're talking about.
He had a cold.
He had a cold.
TJ Hockenson had an ear infection.
Ear infection.
TJ Hockenson went on Bussin' with the Boys like 3 days ago. And it's a long conversation where apparently, I haven't gotten to this part. Apparently, they talk assassination attempts. I haven't heard that yet. I'm guessing that's probably
subject I know well.
Right. And TJ Hockenson, I'm sure, has deep political thoughts. But he did mention that he played through 2 broken ribs last year that he suffered in the Atlanta game, then went out against New Orleans, if you recall, and had like 150 yards in the first half with 2 broken ribs. This is the
Classic
same guy that get knocked out for weeks with an ear infection.
With Josh Dobbs at quarterback, too, by the way.
Have you ever had an ear infection, Sam? That stuff's painful.
Not a 3 week.
Messes with your balance.
It messes
Equilibrium.
with
The equilibrium's off, man. Yeah, I haven't got to any assassination segment or bit or anything like that. But what I did listen to, it was awesome, man. It was really good. I think really maybe my favorite part was him going in depth in such detail about the injury, the surgery, all the stuff behind the scenes. Like even when he wasn't involved, like the medical staff calling and even flying down to Texas to meet with the surgeon to get this whole game plan going. It was just very detailed and evolved. And obviously, like you would assume so, that would be the case. But just to hear all the stuff that went into that surgery and the rehab and the process and everything else, I mean, he probably spent a good 7-8 minutes on that. That was really intriguing as well.
Yeah, and hearing him talk through how his past quarterbacks can influence the way he helps JJ McCarthy along, because he can go to McCarthy and say, all right, this is how Stafford did it. This is how Goff did it. This is how Kirk did it. You got a lot of good quarterback play to play off of there. And now he's in a position where he's more the teacher than the student. And I think he's going to be a security blanket. Like my guess is if McCarthy is starting mid-season, he's probably showing up about the same time Hockenson gets back from injury. And Hockenson could be a pretty significant security blanket for him, the way he was a security blanket for Josh Dobbs early on in McCarthy's tenure at quarterback. Would anybody disagree with that? Like Hockenson might be the most important pass catcher on the field when McCarthy starts.
Nope, it's Jefferson. I'm not.
Not most important. Not most important. But I might still have the fairly hot take that he's the second most important guy on the offense. Like he is a load-bearing pillar of the offense.
Yeah,
like
he's huge.
He is the lead blocker on strong side runs, right? And they essentially changed their run scheme mid-season in 2022 when he got to Minnesota, and then committed to it more in 2023 of running zone strong side more than weak side because they had Hockenson. Like that, they tailored parts of the offense around him, plus the actual pass catching prowess. What do they go to on 3rd and long when they need it? Wide choice.
Wide choice.
Yeah, delayed wide choice, right? The basics over the middle, being able to run routes like a receiver runs routes, and TJ Hawkinson's routes are fantastic. We do not talk about that enough, how good he is at getting open. And I think if you talk to someone about Hockenson last year, it was probably about like drops. And I think that just misses so much of what he does for the offense. It's huge. The offense without him, not only does it get worse, it completely changes the way it works. So yeah, he is massive, not just as an outlet. I mean, Aaron Jones is an outlet too. Like he's not just the check down. He's the number 1 on a lot of plays. He's a number 2 on plenty of plays too. And I think while Addison's explosiveness taking top of the defense, also very important role, I wouldn't be surprised to see Hockenson when he is back being a more featured player just because of that versatility and because he's really the backbone of the offense. If Justin Jefferson is, I don't know, something more important than the backbone, he's the brain. I don't know.
Yeah,
some other element of the nervous system that's important. No,
yeah, I lost that one.
I do want to add to that because I think it is, I'm not going to say meteoric, but almost meteoric, the way that the run scheme changed. If you take a look at all of these McVay offenses, right, they love running weak side. They love it. It is huge. It's the way that the play side offensive tackle blocks on that outside zone defines the actual play. That it defines whether or not it's outside zone or wide zone. It defines the actual play, and it defines the running back's reads in a way that is really core and central to the way that they run the ball. You take a look at the way McVay does it. You look at the way like LaFleur does it. It is actually a really significant change to do that. But yeah, I mean, we've talked about this before. After Hockenson joined the offense, Justin Jefferson's both his route depth and his average depth of target shot up. It spiked because of the way that Hockenson was able to occupy the middle, because of the primacy that he had in the offense. Now, there is something to be said about how we overrate the value of a tight end for a young quarterback. I mean, people always say like a tight end is a young quarterback's best friend. You take a look at it statistically, that's actually not true. That comes from essentially, I think it was like a young Dallas Cowboys quarterback, I forget who, said it in a broadcast meeting. And so the broadcaster said it, and then all the broadcasters started saying it, and we all started believing it. It's not true. Hockenson is quite good, though, and that makes it a little bit different. I will say from a safety blanket perspective, I'd rather just throw to a cover Justin Jefferson if I have no idea what I'm seeing on the field. But I think that the stuff that Hockenson said about the three different quarterbacks, about the what they demanded from the tight end in that offense, I thought that was like really fascinating. He talked about how like Matthew Stafford would just ask him to get open, and then Stafford would just throw it. He'd be like, yeah, just get open. I don't know. And then he would just throw it. And then Jared Goff was on the other side of it. He was like, hey, you need to run this route at this timing because the way this defense operates here, the safety's going to be positioned here. I need you to run like an 8-yard stem here. And then Cousins would be a little bit different because, and I remember Adam Thielen talking about this too, one of his touchdowns against Green Bay. He broke this down back when NFL Plus, I don't know, they keep changing the product, but they had these interviews with these players about, big games that they had. Cousins would ask Hockenson to like get to the spot that the play designates, doesn't really care how. And that's exactly how Adam Thielen scored one of his touchdowns. He's supposed to be running a corner route. He decides, no, he's essentially going to run a wheel route behind the other receiver instead of running a switch concept. And just based off of the leverage in the defense that he's seeing, and it works out. He got to the right spot at the right time, but with better leverage against the defense than if he had run the correct route. And it seems like that's something that Cousins wants. Just get to the spot on time. And apparently, Hockenson mentioned that he can change the depth if he needs to in order to get open, which seems like it's not something that operates really well with Jared Goff. And then one last thing, Hockenson just throwing former Lions tight ends coach and former Vikings assistant special teams coach Chris White under the bus. Very funny to me. He was like, yeah, when I first got there, the tight ends coach was not very good. And I had to look it up. I was like, who is that? Yeah, I was like, who is that? This is this guy named Chris White, former assistant special teams coach for the Vikings during the 2009 season. Then became, so after he was the tight ends coach for the Lions, became the special teams coordinator for Buffalo, which I guess is now University of New York Buffalo, and now for Memphis. So Chris White, you've been called out.
Hilarious. And then Ben Johnson took over for him, I think.
And then Ben Johnson took over the tight ends coaching, and he loved Ben Johnson. In fact, he mentioned that Ben Johnson was essentially his tight ends coach when Ben Johnson was the offensive quality control coach. Which like speaks really well to Johnson.
Wow.
Him telling Johnson's like with him in the film room, and he's like, "This is how Kittle does this. Yes. This is how Kelsey does this." I was just
gonna say that. Yes,
that was fantastic. That was a really great tidbit.
I think the biggest argument for Sam Darnold is that, well, he's never really had a great room of skill players. And I did some digging on this. You want to take a guess?
Last year.
Who the most
where he played better than he ever had.
In his 4 years where he started most of the games, 2018 through 2021, hazard a guess who his most productive tight end was.
Most productive tight end.
Hint, it's a former Viking.
Yeah, is it Tyler Kroft or whatever? Conklin, that's it. Kroft. Tyler Conklin.
No,
it's not Gronklin?
No.
Chris Herndon?
Yes.
Wow.
Chris Herndon.
Both you guys thought of that at the same exact time.
Legendary Vikings tight end, Chris Herndon.
Yes.
I want my fourth.
That name is going to be so much funnier the more time that goes by.
Yeah. Yeah, I want my
Just
fourth round pick
scooped
back.
on the depth chart by some random undrafted free agent that from North Dakota State that I actually ended up liking, of all people. Ellefson?
Ben
Oh,
Ellefson.
yeah.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
Nice. Good name,
Blocker
Rob. Yeah.
extraordinaire. Jacksonville
Yeah.
sniped him. I'm still a little sore about that.
So that trade for a fourth rounder for Herndon was around the same time frame when they traded. Who was the punter they gave a fifth for?
Corey
Vedvik?
Vedvik.
Yeah, okay.
The kicker
All right.
punter?
Punter,
Oh, yeah,
punter
yeah.
slash kicker.
Punter
Yeah,
slash
get that
kicker.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. Put some respect on him. Yeah. Okay.
Spielman did not
Boy.
care about those early day 3 picks at all. We got a lot going on in the chat. What kind of nerd bleep has Luke Braun been getting into that has caused load-bearing pillar to get into his vernacular?
You've used that a
Not a
couple
common
of
phrase?
times now. I mean, it is, but you've
That's
used that a
the
couple of
phrase
times
that I've been using about TJ Hockenson for like a year.
now. Okay, well, I've heard it like 3 times from you in the last 2 weeks, so it feels like it's come up a lot suddenly.
Blue Stork in the chat wondering our early Mr. Mankato predictions. This was Thursday's
Last
show
episode.
for
Yeah.
Inman. For Inman, it was Malik Knowles. Braun goes with the kicker Will Reichard. Arif goes Gabe Murphy. I went with Thayer Thomas.
I'll never apologize.
Yeah, I know.
And Macho Meech also notifying us, and we appreciate this. We like breaking news. Jordan Love holding out.
I got a lot of play the sound requests before the show because for the Dallas Turner signing the contract, JJ McCarthy signing the contract. Kamala
I don't know if
Harris.
holding out's the right word here.
Holding
LaFleur said he's not practicing till he gets a contract, but I don't know if that
He's
like that
holding in.
might be you're holding in. Yeah.
Yeah. I'd like to
Trendy way to do
refer
it.
people to my piece over at the Wide Left Substack. Is Jordan Love good? It sounds like the Packers and Jordan Love are overly optimistic about this. As
Packers
detailed in
fans
my
got
piece.
very mad at that piece, by the way.
They
So you
did.
should
They
enjoy
did.
it, Vikings fans.
It was nice.
So are you saying what did we find out? He's not good? Is that what? They got
Well,
mad?
Packers fans got mad at the piece. Why don't you find out why?
Okay. All right. Plug and play.
When we return, we'll get
Wide
into
left
our
football.
wackiest training camp predictions on the Minnesota football party. Today's show presented by FanDuel. Baseball's back. All-Star break's over. WNBA on pause. So the sports aren't quite sporting like we want. Not as much going on, but for what is going on, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. You can find all those lines, all those opportunities at FanDuel.com. Start making the most out of your summer. So right now, on the Super Bowl tab of the NFL category at FanDuel, you can literally predict every combination of Super Bowl outcome. So I could bet on the Vikings to beat the Chargers at, is this 1.5 million to 1? Or no, 100 plus 150,000 Vikings to beat Chargers, or Vikings to beat Steelers, or Vikings to beat Titans at plus 400,000. That's kind of fun. That's kind of fun. Maybe don't do the Vikings to win the Super Bowl, but something like that. You can do all of them, all the possibilities at FanDuel right now. You can get that boosted or find a bonus at FanDuel.com. Make every moment more. Check it out, FanDuel.com. Wacky Camp predictions coming up on the Minnesota Football Party. Also, subscribe, Locked On Sports Minnesota. Please help us get to 8,000 subscribers by, how about the first preseason game? We're not that far off. We got about 3 weeks to get there. Shout them out. Wacky Camp predictions. Let's get weird. Let's get zany as the Vikings report to camp. First practice on Wednesday. I'll kick it off. I'll kick it off since I'm the one who wants us to get wacky and weird. I will say that Zadarius Smith. Well, actually, no, I'm going to go with this one. I think there's going to be a weird injury. I think Ed Ingram is going to step on Sam Darnold's foot and twist his ankle. And that's going to be the big break that JJ McCarthy needs.
In training camp?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, like, Matt Castle took until like week 3, right? So
Yeah, it feels like something that'll happen like in a game. But
Well, Matt Castle didn't have Ed Ingram stepping on his foot. He had
we will have
Brandon
a
Fusco.
we will have a fun Zadarius Smith reunion in joint
Well,
practices.
my other thought was that
Just gonna
Zadarius
say,
Smith gets involved in a training camp fight with.
That doesn't seem that wacky. That seems like pretty normal, actually.
Certainly
Aaron
somebody
Jones.
will get
I'm
into a
guessing
fight.
Aaron Jones. His former.
Who's
active teammate.
Ooh.
Who's Andrew Booth going to be going against a lot? Who's on like the second or third team in Cleveland? That guy's getting in a fight for sure.
Let's see.
Oh,
Cedric
yeah.
Tillman, David Bell from Michigan. Let's see. Jamari
Oh, I could
Thrash,
see-
the rookie.
I could see Bell.
wow.
Yeah.
I could see Bell.
Wow, Booth is going to have a lot of great opportunities. A bunch of those guys suck.
Yeah, yeah, they're not great.
Also, like a name like Jamari Thrash. I mean, you just think that that's
Yeah.
a fight.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Didn't see it very much at the Senior Bowl, but it's a more relaxed environment.
All right, I have something I think will happen because it happened last year, and I think we learned nothing from it. We're gonna have a moment where Lewis Seen has like one cool highlight or good day that we
There it is.
overreact to a lot
Mm.
and talk about for like 3 days afterwards or even a whole week afterwards, even though he doesn't repeat it at all.
I'm totally gonna do that with no apologies. Why? What else is there to talk about?
Yeah.
I
I don't begrudge you that, but it will happen.
This is such a danger early in camp is that the performers in week 1, often without pads, right? Pads aren't even
Yeah.
on yet. The performers that we see and hear about in week 1 often get off to such a good start in the court of public opinion. But then when they tail off, like for the next 2 weeks, we tend to still go back to them and say, oh, yeah, they're having a great camp.
Yeah,
let's-
we
The-
did
the-
that with
the Blake
I
Pearl
did that
PR
with
campaign.
Jalen Naylor all summer last year, and he only
Well,
really.
that's not fair.
Well,
he
he
got
got hurt. Yeah.
Like he was having a great camp, and then there was no moment where it was like he was practicing and then didn't produce. It was like he just got hurt.
his spring, I should say. His spring was so
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
I mean, we call it spring practices, but they occur in the summer, so I'm not too stressed about whatever you call it.
No, they definitely occur in the spring. Summer.
Well, the main
summer
ones
doesn't
do occur
start.
in the spring.
Spring practices are, I'm considering OTAs, mini camp. That's before the solstice. The solstice is June 21st.
Samus Reyes is going to get tight end 2 talk. It won't make any
Let's
sense.
go.
But we're gonna do it, and he's gonna have some great highlights, and he's
then
gonna
get cut.
rotate in with the 2s. Yeah, and then he's gonna get cut.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
and then-
actually,
and
no,
then
international, yeah.
yeah, you'll be
Yeah,
fine.
yeah.
Actually, he'll be kind of cut, but not really. He'll be the 54th player.
In the building, because why not? But yeah.
Yeah.
Can you explain, like we're 5, the Samus Reyes story? Because you were all over him last show as well, and I need a little refresher course.
Yeah, there is a full-length episode on that on Locked On Vikings if you want to hear it. If you want to hear it in more detail, but basically he grew up in Santiago-ish area, Santiago, Chile, and wanted to be a basketball player. Played for like the Chilean national basketball team. Got invited to some sort of scouting camps, some like youth tournament kind of stuff in Texas, which brought him to the United States. Lived on his own as a 14-year-old, like grabbing what he could from the store, like
Grabbing how?
Legally.
Well,
Remember, I'm going to approve of whatever answer you give, so don't.
oh,
worry
you will
about it.
approve of this for sure. It is a frequent thought experiment, and kind of did his best to. I mean, he was like surviving, right? Never told his parents he was in any trouble at all, because his parents would have like immediately gotten him out of there. He's like, I'm not letting you come and take me. Yeah, mom, dad, I'm doing fine. He.
I'm 14. I'm an adult.
Yeah, exactly. And he pursued that basketball career all the way up through college. Didn't really get off the ground once he was done with college. His college basketball career didn't go great. He transferred to a couple of different schools, never really got playing time. It was, the kind of classic, all right, yeah, you kind of topped out at college in your basketball playing career. But the whole time, everyone was telling him, like, hey, man, you kind of look like a tight end. You should play football. basketball coaches were telling him this, his parents were telling him this, advisors were telling him this, athletic staff people, all were like, man, you kind of look like a football player. And he's like, no, basketball. It's going to be basketball. So here he is at 24 years old, basketball dream. It's like, okay, well, I could go play for like the Latvian league, or I can try this football thing out. And he applies to the International Pathway Program, gets accepted, gets to go to a couple of camps that way, and people are like, oh, wow, this dude actually kind of rocks, and then makes the Washington Commanders.
If my basketball coach pulled me aside and was like, hey, man, have you thought about football? I'd be devastated.
Constantly, by the way.
Yeah, constantly,
people, like, everybody is like, man, like, he's like, what, 6'2", 6'3", like 250. Like, he looks like a tight end.
Presumably, he's like, playing power forward at like 6'2", and everyone's like, I don't know about it.
Right. Once you get to college and you're not the tallest kid in the school anymore.
Yeah.
You're not the tallest kid in the nation of Chile. Would be super sick if he worked out. And the fact that he showed up with literally like he played like the football coach also was like, please God, come to my team.
Well, yeah, that's a little bit different, but yeah.
Yeah. And they actually managed to convince him his junior year of high school to like come do a week. He played defensive end. He absolutely wrecked everyone and then was like, I don't really like this, and went back to basketball. And all the football coaches were like, no!
Yeah, I sympathize with that.
So if he could work out, it's like the sickest story ever. And also this is his fourth year in the NFL. So like people keep giving him, like keep seeing opportunity in him.
Samus Daniel Reyes Martel.
Fun to say.
Chilean gridiron football tight end for the Minnesota Vikings.
Wow, I just realized, okay, joint practices. Wyatt Davis is on the Cleveland Browns as well. That's a good name.
Oh my God, he's still in the league?
Yeah, third team, left guard. Joel Batinho, Zach Zinter, Wyatt Davis.
That's gonna bode well for Levi Drake Rodriguez.
I was gonna say,
this is how Levi Drake makes the team.
This is it.
Picks on
I
Wyatt
thought you were talking about like Wyatt Teller for a second. I was like, that's not weird. That guy's like,
yeah,
really
that guy's
good
a
at
stud.
Football.
Yeah.
Wyatt Davis.
And Wyatt Teller is their right guard, by the way. So we will see Wyatt Teller. A couple Wyatts out there for sure.
I was like, yeah, it's not weird to see Wyatt Teller out there. What are you talking about? That guy
I think
almost
the
been
best,
an all-pro team.
Yeah, just a stud. I think the best moment or sound bite, now that I'm looking at this Cleveland Browns roster, the favorite clip from Vikings training camp won't come from a Viking. It's going to come from Jameis Winston. The dude is just an absolute comedian, a jokester, a one-liner waiting to happen. So like Sam Darnold's going to be mic'd up or something, and Jameis is going to be chit-chatting with him on the sideline. We're going to get some hilarious sound bite where he goes off on some random tangent, and it's going to be great. Jameis is hilarious.
This team is so uncomfortable, man. Anyway.
I think that after the joint practices, I think that they're so friendly with Stefanski. Obviously, Kwesi and the Browns, great connection there. I think
there's
there will
only
be a
one
trade.
guy left that knows Stefanski, no? It's Harrison Smith?
On the team.
Right.
They really don't have any. Well,
crazy.
I mean,
Jefferson
all the rookie contracts are out, and it's not like anybody like Thielen or anybody like that is still there.
Wow.
I'd have to verify that.
This is an Andrew Berry thing. This is why
CJ
we're...
Ham.
What about Garrett?
CJ Ham.
Oh, CJ Ham. Yeah. Bradbury.
Bradbury
O'Neal. Okay, yeah, the O-lineman.
Bradbury.
Come on. How dare I?
There's a whole cadre
How
of guys.
dare I?
O'Neal. Here's my point being, thanks to the connections, I think there will be a trade between the two teams. I think the Browns will get a look at Jordan Hicks and be underwhelmed. And they will say, who's the guy in Minnesota that actually was better than Hicks a couple of years ago? Brian Asamoah. Okay, we'll give you a 6th in exchange for Asamoah and a future 7th. I think that happens.
What's
in
a
the
little
latter
lying
part of
among
August.
friends?
What's a little...
No, yeah.
wink,
Asamoah.
nudge,
He was definitely better. Yeah. No, you got it.
Yeah, you got it, man. Yep. But you owe me, okay? I'm doing you a huge favor here, okay? You owe me, all right?
Oh, actually, Macho Meach makes a good point. Cam Akers didn't actually sign with the Vikings and is like working out or signing with the Texans.
He's
or
with the
something.
No, he signed with the
now,
Texans,
right?
yeah.
Oh, he signed
He-
out
he-
right? Yeah.
What happened?
must have failed the physical.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Yeah, so my guess for that is that he either failed the physical or couldn't do the physical, and the Vikings weren't willing to waive it, and the Texans are willing to waive the physical. That's my guess for why that happened the way it is.
Big for Kene, big for Myles Gaskin. Still hope.
Yeah.
Still hope for both.
Are there 2 roster spots available for the Vikings right now?
So
I believe just one because
being
Cam Akers
Kyrie.
was going to fill the one vacated by Kyrie Jackson.
Kyrie. Oh, okay.
Gabe Murphy is going to be a second-team rotational defensive end.
That's not crazy. You seen the defensive ends? Or
Patrick
edge rushers?
Jones,
He's gonna beat out
Andre
who?
Carter,
Andre Carter?
not the highest bar to surpass.
Oh, I got something you can play the
We
sound
got to
for,
be
Sam.
clear, though. Edge rushers and defensive ends are different in this defense.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's Jonathan Grenard's and Dean Lowry's. On the Up and Adams show, Ivan Pace says he will be wearing the green dot on defense.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Also surprised.
Yeah, you'd think he'd be somebody with a little more experience, but I guess Cashman's newer to the
Cashman?
team than Pace
Yeah.
is.
Yeah,
so-
Cashman is newer to the team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was part of my
And
logic, too, with
Probably wanted to
linebacker.
keep it at linebacker. Yeah.
I think that Grugier Hill might be in front of Asamoah, too. Like, I think that he's LB.
I don't think that's
He'll probably have an
wild
important special
speculation.
teams role.
That makes sense.
Could be.
Grugier Hill. Grugier Hill played a lot of special teams over
Yes.
the years
Ton
with
of
the Eagles
special
and
teams.
wherever else he was. So I'm
Ton
going to
of
guess
special
that
teams.
he's kind of locked into that role.
Mhm.
There's a lot of like pure special teamers on this roster specifically. Like through the UDFAs, like Dallas Gant, for example, or Najee Thompson from last year. There's a lot of like pure special teamers. It feels like it's an emphasis. They went out of their way to make sure that they could stock that, which is interesting given how radically the special teams rules changed with the kickoff. But sure, why not?
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah, well, maybe that's why. Maybe they think that it'll require a little bit more of a dedicated effort to.
Yeah. But the receiver that they just waived, I've already forgot his name. Oh, man. Was primarily a special teamer. Deshaun Jones is expected
Oh, Devron
to be,
Harper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Deshaun Jones is expected to be a special team guy. Like, there's a lot of guys here that have a ton of special teams experience in college and in the NFL.
I do wonder because Ty James was from Mercer's, from the same school as Devron Harper, and I wonder because Ty James was like the wide receiver one there. He had like 1,000-yard season at Mercer, and he's the one that kind of let's get a look at this guy. And then you're scouting this guy, and there's this like little slot twerp that's like running around and like doing all this crazy cool stuff. And you're like,
Classic.
oh, maybe we should bring this guy in too. And you get him in, and you're like, okay, this didn't work.
I get it.
Yeah. So I don't know if that was necessarily special teams. I wonder if there's just like one scout that was like, okay, you got to look at this guy.
Just for me. Just check him
Yeah.
out.
Check them out.
$10,000 bonus. It's nothing. Just
Yeah.
do it.
Nothing. Forget about it. Chump change.
Yeah, it's basically a free roster spot because we're going to sign a Chilean guy and we're going to have 91. So it's like
Exactly.
house
Yeah,
money.
he'll get beat out by somebody in rookie minicamp. It's fine.
It's fine.
That probably happens more than we'd even realize.
For sure.
Speaking
Somebody
of
slams the
special
table.
teams,
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about John Parker Romo being like a camp fan favorite when he doesn't miss a kick? If
Cut
he
after the
doesn't
first
miss a
preseason
kick-
game.
If he doesn't miss a kick and Reichard misses some kicks, does he get the job?
Still cut after the first preseason game. You kidding me? They're sticking with the
you
draft
can't.
pick.
You
They've got a
draft
point to
pick.
prove.
Yeah.
It would take a lot.
How much of a meritocracy do you think this is?
Can't do it.
How
Won't
far
happen.
behind? How far behind is my guy JP Romo?
He actually, I do think that he is.
Horse racing terms?
Do you
length?
think he's the 91st man on the roster? Or I guess 90th?
88th.
I was going to say he's in those bottom three.
Wow.
Yeah.
No faith at all.
It's not
Here- well,
about
here's the
faith in
deal.
him. He could be
Draft
very talented. It's about faith, I guess, in the Viking meritocracy.
Yeah, it is about that. Although I did write a whole piece on Arif's Substack about
Check it
the
out.
kicker battle. Yeah, go check that out. And actually, I do think Will Reichard is just a better kicker. But I also think it kind of doesn't matter. But he's more, Reichard is more consistent in like he makes the same mistake every time. So he makes one mistake that's like a bigger mistake because it happens every time. But John Parker Romo has a few different things that go wrong some of the time, and that's a lot more variables, and it's really hard to get all of those things to work out when you want them to. So that's going to lead to more misses, and I think that's the reason that John Parker Romo has never made a 53-man roster.
If you don't want
Unless
the
you count
drama,
XFL.
then they should cut Romo right away. Like, just don't have a competition then.
So
Stryker's job.
there's no waves of cut. There's no stages of cuts anymore, right? So technically they don't have to cut. Oh, they are back? Okay.
What's the benchmark?
I thought they changed this back.
Well, they've been cutting like 5, right? They cut like 5 or 10 guys.
It's just like, well, we know. Let's just give them an opportunity to go pick up somewhere else because we know, kind of thing. Or what? They don't have to though, right? Until the end, until like August 28th or something.
I don't remember hearing about a change, Braun.
Oh, maybe not. Yeah, maybe Braun is wrong again.
Monday.
Oh yeah, I'm wrong.
Yeah.
No, they got rid of the 5. Now it's just a pure 90. That's the change. I
Okay,
had it
the
the wrong way
5
around.
felt weird anyway, so that makes sense.
Got
Just
it.
one big.
JPR is
38.
gonna go the distance. Gonna go all 3 preseason games, not miss a kick, and then get cut.
Yeah.
So they have to cut 38, and that's exactly the number that.
No, he'll get cut to make roster space for our panic wide receiver trade
There
after
it
the
is.
second preseason game.
Yeah, who's that going to be?
Talk about after this break on the Minnesota Football Party. We are presented today by LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs deserves to have a graphic, and there it is. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help find the right professionals for your small business team faster and for free. This is not your typical job board. You can hire pros you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively searching. That's the beauty of it, because if they're on LinkedIn, they might see that job posting, even if they're not in active search mode, you can still reach them and they might say, hey, that sounds like a pretty cool opportunity. 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. Hire professionals like a professional on LinkedIn. Small businesses wear a lot of hats, a lot of responsibilities. They don't always have time to conduct a search that's going to take up all those hours, all those resources. LinkedIn makes it easy with their super fast and easy program. 2.5 million small businesses trust LinkedIn for hiring. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonnfl, linkedin.com/lockedonnfl to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Vikings panic trades for a wide receiver. There have been multiple articles written, blogs, not necessarily sourced, but they're both citing Ben Gessling, who was on KFAN guest hosting. The quotes are, and I don't think he was citing anything either. I think he was just talking about how it kind of makes sense, might be a fit in theory. I don't think there's real legs to this. But Adam Thielen, going into year 2 with the Panthers, post June 1 cut, he's got like $8 million dead in Carolina. Carolina brought in Deontay Johnson, Xavier Legette. So they got a little wide receiver help. I'm not sure that Adam Thielen's just going to be straight released by Carolina. It surprised me if one of the 31 other teams wouldn't trade for the guy. So I'm not going to add fuel to this fire. But
You just did.
I don't think I did. I don't think I did.
It's even in the little
incredibly
little box.
Minnesotan move.
Adam
right
Thielen's
there.
return? Question mark?
I don't mean to
Bullet
speak
point.
ill,
It's
but
in the box, Sam.
It's in the box,
It's in
Sam.
the box.
The box is gospel.
What's in the box?
I'm here to say pump the brakes. But you guys
Okay,
are
what
welcome
kind
to
of odds
support.
are you going to give me? 6-1 that it returns? 8-1? I'll take it.
How about
What?
20 to 1?
Whatever odds, just give it to me.
what
Luke,
kind of money
take my
comes
money.
with him? Because I feel like Carolina's got to send us a pick too. I think this has to be an Osweiler thing.
Well, they have a Mir Smith Marset. Let's not forget that. So, I mean, they got wiggle room.
Yeah.
they're set.
Yeah.
No, I was talking
Um,
more about somebody that you feel like you just need an extra piece of depth. Here's a wacky one.
Okay.
Send ceremonial draft capital to the Chargers for Quentin Johnston, who is wide
Future
receiver 4
conditional
right now.
seventh.
Yeah, take him off. Take that problem away, and that'll be a Jalen Reagor trade.
A new addition to our long building list of
Of
flame
former
out
first-round
first
picks.
round
So,
picks that the
when-
Right,
Vikings
it's
tried.
Kwesi move.
When
After
Kwesi traded-
after rookie year is pretty bold, though.
I was just
right?
going to
Like, that
ask you
doesn't-
when
He's
Kwesi
flamed out
traded-
a lot harder than Reagor did.
When Kwesi traded for Rager, though, was it 2 years?
It was 2
Yeah,
years,
2
yeah.
years.
It wasn't 3? I thought it was 3. I guess it's 2.
2.
Yeah,
'Cause
no,
they
that would
had
make
him
the most
for-
sense. Yeah,
They had him for 2.
Jefferson. Yeah.
I think.
But I'm with you. Yeah, I mean, yes, he was
1 year,
atrocious.
though.
He was terrible last year, but 1 year
Yep.
seems like a pretty short leash. All of a
He's
sudden.
already
But
buried
I'll
on the
take it.
depth chart more than like Rager was buried on the depth chart. That's why he got traded
He's
when he
buried on the
did.
depth chart, and there's
And he
not
wasn't
even
his second year.
Yeah, we're talking about Josh Palmer, DJ Chark is ahead of him, Lad McConkey, obviously.
Yeah.
Hey, let's not speak ill of Joshua Palmer or Lad McConkey.
I love Palmer. Okay, so
Great.
What happened to the Inman cat, the Dontrell Inman, who used to play for the Chargers?
he's doing great. He's doing great. Nice guy.
Do you know him?
Family guy, media guy, locker room guy, community guy. Love that guy.
Cousin Dontrell.
I think he went to the Raiders after the Chargers, right?
Sounds
Then he
right.
disappeared.
Maybe the Colts too. I don't know.
Some burrito bill in chat suggesting a Jameson Williams trade.
That
That's
Ron's
funny.
head would explode.
That would
Oh
be-
my goodness. My YouTube comments would melt down. Oh, would I have some screenshots to post? Okay, now I remember though the problem with the Adam Thielen thing. The whole reason Adam Thielen left is because the Vikings were not willing to give him a 3-year deal, and the Panthers were. I do not foresee the Vikings trading for that 3-year deal.
Well, it's
Feels like
really
this is like a common theme for Vikings departures.
if Adam Thielen wants to get cut again in Minnesota, he could they could bring him in for this year, and then it's a very cuttable
Every
contract.
opportunity.
Yeah, you'd have to void out the contract or something. And I feel like, is he not still going to be wide receiver 1 there? I feel like who did
That's
you
the
say
thing. Yeah,
joined?
people assume that the Panthers suddenly don't want their best receiver from last year for their
It's like the only thing going right for them.
their ailing number 1 overall pick quarterback. Like, it doesn't need a sharp route running veteran with him.
Yeah. Well, is it the same people that thought that the Vikings should trade Jefferson to somehow to help the rookie come along? Because I feel like that logic has
Yeah.
been pervasive.
Yeah. But I mean, it's just because they traded for Deontay Johnson and drafted Xavier Legette, right? But like, you can put 3 receivers on the field. That is allowed.
Yeah. Probably
Also,
should.
Probably
they're not
should.
gonna cut
honestly,
him.
Yeah.
They're not going to
Yeah.
cut him at that. This is not.
No,
like
they can't cut that contract. It would
No.
have to be a trade.
No, and it's not going to be to the Vikings. So it's not happening. Adam Thielen's return? No, that's the answer to the question, Arif, from the bullet.
I'm
point
just
box.
saying you're contributing to the problem, Sam. That's all.
I'll wear that. I'll accept that. Kwesi and KOC take the podium in about 30 minutes. So I would imagine Ron Johnson on tomorrow's Ron Johnson show will have some takes on that. Minnesota basketball party on Wednesday, and we're back on Thursday on the Minnesota football party. We'll have a real practice to talk about, real press conferences to talk about. Looking forward to that. With Arif Hassan, Luke Braun, check out Locked On Vikings, check out Wildlife Substack, check out the postcasts with Luke Inman, covering the Twins and devastating losses to the Milwaukee Brewers. And I'm Sam Ekstrom. Thanks for watching. Thanks for contributing in the chat. We'll talk to you next time on the Minnesota Football Party.